Huh? Yeah. Oh. Alright, welcome back to Kingston Station. Sorry about the delay, but we're all ready now. And going in. And this time we have some sexy intros to these players. So let's hear it. First player in the bottom right-hand corner of King Sejong is the orange Terran player. It is...
All inspiration. Noob. PsyRex.
Do not have the intro. Oh, dear. Okay. Do we have a customer intro for him? Okay. Okay, cool. So, up in the top left-hand corner, purple Zerg. I do like a purple Zerg. From team All Inspiration, it is...
All inspiration, PsyRex.
Yeah, and PsyRex is already pulling off some interesting moves here. With a scouting drone. I'm just trying to gas block Vespasian a little bit. Obviously, he can keep on cancelling and rebuilding this for as long as he wants to. He doesn't lose much minerals for doing it, only like 6 minerals or so. And you need quite a few Marines to kill it before it builds. I think you actually need 3 to kill it before it can, like, to do more damage to it than it's gaining health. So with this third Marine coming along, there's not actually going to be any point in that third extraction. It's going to go down. But how much attention is PsyRex paying? Not enough! And it does get killed. Drone doesn't get out, won't get any more scouting information. And all in all, that really didn't affect Vespasian that much because he wasn't going for... Well, actually, maybe it did. He's throwing down his gas on that pretty much as soon as it died, so... I don't know, I'm a little surprised. I think that's quite a fast gas. But I don't know, PsyRex moves forwards with a few lings, but Vespasian obviously has enough Marines to push them away, and then some. And I think PsyRex is a little worried about these Marines moving out on the map. He's building a couple of spine crawlers. And yeah, these spine crawlers are pretty, I mean, you don't tend to see spine crawlers in the early game in TVZ unless there's a bunker rush or something of the sort. And yes, there is a second CC coming down. In fact, it's already finished and is upgrading into an orbital. Did PsyRex actually scout this? I'm pretty sure he scouted it. No, he didn't scout this, but because obviously he's spending so much time gas blocking that refinery, didn't get a chance to. But Vespasian is going for a factory immediately after his barracks, before adding on any other barracks, rather. He actually went for the orbital command after the racks, but yeah, Vespasian now getting his natural up, nice and safe. Everything's looking pretty good for him. And over on PsyRex's side of the map, he's just sort of looking around. He's got the lings down at the bottom of the ramp, so he'll know if he's up against any aggression, if it moves out. And this Overlord is going to be able to scout the factory, should be able to see what's going on inside the main, all the gas timings and everything, which is really nice. 6 to 7 minutes is a great... crucial sort of scouting time. It's why you always had the 6-minute scan in Wings of Liberty. Nowadays, Reapers generally run back in at 6 minutes. And actually, PsyRex kind of sees an opportunity with all the Marines up at the top to run past with his lings, but unfortunately Vespasian does have a bunker down there and it still has those 4 lings in it. So really good by Vespasian to split his forces up between killing the Overlord and killing the or just keeping his natural ramp safe. And this does mean that the Overlord didn't get to scout the gas timings or anything like that. And most importantly as well, did not scout this armory. And this armory is going to be for Hellbats. Oh, actually, is it? Huh. This armory is going to be for Thors? Oh, was Vespasian that guy who built a ton of Thors and then killed his opponent with them? I think it was. This is really interesting because I was expecting to see one tech lab researching Blue Flame, and this second factory I thought I'd see a not tech lab reactor, so he could build a Blue Flame and a ton of Hellbats and turn them all into but a ton of Hellions, turn them all into Hellbats. But yeah, the armory finishes up and immediately 2 Thors starting really, really fast Thors here for PsyRex. And sorry, for Vespasian. And this could turn really, really interesting. PsyRex is getting up some... he's getting his roach upgrades, ranged upgrades, and a bunch of roaches out. And I feel like Roach Hydra will deal with this a little better than Lingbane Muta, but it's still going to be really kind of tough. Thors do so much DPS. They're one of the highest DPS units in the game. Forget the carrier. Thors do way more with their ground attack. They scale really well with upgrades as well. I understand where he's coming from with the armor upgrade, which he's getting right now, but against Lings and such, armor is much, much better because the Thor is going to kill Lings in one shot anyway, and having that extra armor is really good against the Lings' fast attack speed. But against Roach Hydra, which is what he's actually up against, I think the attack upgrade is much, much better because you do so much more damage, and Roaches have enough health that they're it's going to matter more. Thors get something like +3 per attack upgrade, so they get a total of like +6 damage per attack upgrade, which is crazy. And yeah, it's some pretty good scaling. And of course, it's not reduced as much by armor. They still get like +4 per attack, even on equal armor. So yeah, now PsyRex is moving forward with his roaches, and this means that I think this is actually even better for Vespasian, because Vespasian can run away with his marines, and this means that he'll have the defense advantage instead of having to meet him halfway with about 4 Thors, which he might do anyway. Oh yeah, a bunch of SCVs coming off the line. They're going to try and start repairing the Thors. PsyRex's army is splitting up a little bit as the pathing takes it around here, and now a bunch of Thors come in, bang bang, and these roaches are in a bit of trouble. They're going to try and focus down Thors, but he just has to run away. And again, with the pathing these roaches are taking, he loses a lot of them to the incredible DPS being put out by these Thors. And now PsyRex is kind of in panic mode. Lots and lots of units. He needs them now. And his lava count is holding him back a little. Emergency spine crawls. He's got a couple he can unburrow and move around, but it's still going to be really, really tough to hold 4 Thors. 2 more on the way, just leaving Vespasian's base now. And yeah, these spine crawls, there's no way they're going to finish. It's gonna be a tough hold. There's a 3rd base, but I mean, I think Vespasian's just gonna ignore it and try and bust up the natural. It's gonna be so difficult as well to get a concave with the Thors. With the roaches. The Thors don't really care about the concave. There's only 4 of them. They've got 7 range, and they're focused down the spine cords. They go so fast against 2 Thors. Burrow, he's gonna unburrow underneath all the Thors, which is gonna be great. He can kill them off one by one, focus them down. But there's so many Thors. He focuses down one of them, and I don't think there's enough roaches to get another one. But with the repair tanking going on the 3rd Thor, he is going to get it. Oh my god, PsyRex might clean this up. Roaches are a pretty good unit, this just in. But 2 more Thors coming in for reinforcements. I know, PsyRex has a lot more roaches coming on the way. This is pretty close either way. And it looks like PsyRex will hold here. And that's pretty big for him, because not only has he taken out a lot of really expensive units in the form of those Thors, but back home, Vespasian pulled a lot of workers to pull off that attack. I think 10 or so. So, I mean, it wasn't a 100% all in, but he's now down about a 10 worker disadvantage, 9 to be 100% accurate, and that's not sort of position he wants to be in. There's no sign of any 3rd command center anywhere, whereas PsyRex has finished his up. He's starting to drone it up. The upgrades are... I mean, the upgrades are kind of in favor of PsyRex. Vespasian is gonna finish up his vehicle attack, and yeah, I don't really think Vespasian expected that number of roaches coming out of PsyRex. So yeah, pretty tough stuff there. PsyRex has his roaches over the side of the map, but I'm not sure how much he's gonna be able to do with them. If he can focus down the supply depot, maybe he can get something done, but there's the Widowmine there. The reason he needs to focus down the supply depot and then burrow up. So Vespasian kind of realizes this because he's got the missile turret. PsyRex, I think, is going to unburrow, focus down this supply depot, or possibly the bunker, and then just move past. Focus down the bunker in 2 shots, and then he needs to kind of reburrow so he can get on top of these doors, but he doesn't. He's just going to... it's tough moving all those roaches through the choke, which is why I would have preferred him to reburrow, split a few off to the main, just 3 roaches off to the main, because they one-shot SCVs, 3 roaches, and then the rest of them just try and focus down the Thors, or just distract the Thors while a few more roaches go to the natural. And I don't know, multi-pronged stuff is great with borrowed roaches. But either way, it looks like PsyRex is going to back off. He traded, not fantastically, but okay. And now Vespasian's actually getting 2 starports up, producing a bunch of ravens at a time, or 2 ravens at a time. He's going to have a load of ravens from them, and with loads of ravens and the Thors, he's going to be pretty well proof against most things PsyRex can throw at him. The big glaring weakness of Thors in terms of, or in versus Zerg, is of course swarm hosts, because they don't have any splash damage to deal with the big locust numbers. Sure, they're pretty good at fighting locusts. Like they can take out a locust wave from an equal cost of swarm hosts, but then one or two of them will take damage or die, and the swarm hosts will survive, and there'll be another locust wave in a couple of seconds, and then this Thors get whittled down a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. But with like a bunch of ravens with them, a load of seeker missile and energy will mean you don't take any damage from the locusts. So ravens and Thors work together really, really well. And now Vespasian's moving forwards. This also applies, of course, to Hydeless, which I think are the other big sort of counter to Thors. Roach Hider works pretty well against Thors, and the Hydeless don't do so great against seeker missiles. But now PsyRex has a lot of roaches and not much else. Vespasian has potential for seeker missiles, and he's going to cast a couple of them. It looks like they're going to get some pretty big hits as well, and a lot of these roaches have been softened up, but there's still so many of them. They've got massive concaves. The Banshee's going to add its damage to the mix as well as it can. And yeah, I think these Thors are not long for this world, but the question is how much they can whittle down the roaches. If they get few enough roaches, then the Banshee can pick them off. And actually, I think one of the Thors might even survive. 2 of the Thors, because there's another reinforcing one. There are a lot of spines for PsyRex, so I don't think there's actual economic damage or anything going to be done. Plus, the Roach Remax is going to clean this up. But he still needs something to deal with the Banshee. There's nothing he has right now that actually shoots up. I mean, his queens, but he hasn't got that many queens, considering there's 2 Banshees. 3 queens. I kind of favor 2 Banshees against 3 queens, especially if the Banshees are cloaked and there's no detection. So yeah, now PsyRex, he's going to try and do damage, or he's going to try and defend by attacking. Vespasian actually doesn't fall for it. He's going to defend at home with what he has and leave his Banshees to try and get some damage done. They're not going to find the drone transfer, but they can sit up there in this kind of position, shooting away at roaches. Pretty nicely killed that one off. I think they're going to get this one as well. Whoa, yes. And yeah, now they can threaten the gases, they can threaten the workers in the gases, do a lot of really annoying stuff. And now PsyRex moves in with his roaches. Vespasian can just lift this orbital command if he wants. And now he's moving out with 2 more Banshees and a few more Thors. And I have a feeling Vespasian is the player I said I had nightmares about his style, because there's a lot of Banshees out in the field right now. There's 6 Banshees, and that's a terrifying quantity of Banshees. One of them does go down to the Queen, but the second one kills that Queen off. And yeah, the Banshee kills the last remaining Roach that made it back all the way from Vespasian's base. And yeah, it's an interesting comp from Vespasian. Really, really heavy on the Banshees, really heavy on the Thors. And if PsyRex can get out a bunch of Roach Hydra, he should be able to do this pretty well, because Roaches and Hydralisks deal okay with Thors. There's not a super high Raven count, so there won't be tons of spam Seeker missiles or point defense drones. A lot of Banshees will be able to take really good care of the Roaches, or possibly really bad care of the Roaches, depending on whose perspective you're looking at it from. And then the Hydralisks, there's not really anywhere near enough Hydralisks to deal with this quantity of Banshees, especially not with the point defense drone. Yeah, the point defense drones take up so much damage from the Hydralisks, and now Vespasian has a great position. He can send his Banshees out, just actually kill off with these Roaches reinforcements, cutting off the army. And yeah, the point defense drone is going to completely eliminate these 3 Hydralisks from the battle, really. And yeah, now he's got to move around. He's going to try and defend his 3rd, but Vespasian is pummeling away at the natural now, which is of course where some of the upgrades are, the tech of the lair is. And yeah, it's going to be tough. Vespasian's got a lot of DPS as well in this army, super high DPS, but he's kind of stepping out of range for support. No, he's not. He's still in range for his point defense drone, and so these Hydralisks really doing very, very little. And now all cleaned up. He's got to try and catch him on the rematch, but Roaches aren't going to deal with that many back. shenanigans underway. Deadwing. It is possible to 2-racks on Deadwing. Because obviously you have the this position basically where you hide the barracks. It's midway between both of the bases. But where's this Overlord going? Is it over the proxy 2-racks location? Why, yes it is. Ding ding ding. And unfortunately it might be a little too late. But I mean, PsyRex is going to have his pool finished pretty soon. He can start some spine crawlers. The pool went down before the hatchery. And he's going to see it in time. Not in time to pull drones and start harassing the SCVs which are building. But, PsyRex has found him. It might actually have been better to just not let Vespasian know. Because if he kept his Overlord up on the high ground, it would have been fine. But as is, he's going to move up to this location. And Vespasian actually, he can cut down the Russians by a lot by just lifting the barracks over there. But now the Lings are out. They know they have to be looking for bunkers being built, and they find one. They cancel the bunker, and this is almost the push over right now, because Vespasian is going to have to try and rely on just the Marines as they come out of the barracks, and he's going to have to build quite a large count to be able to break PsyRex if he's actually committing to the Lings, building a ton of Queens, building maybe 1 or 2 spine crawlers and just burrowing down the natural. And PsyRex actually has a drone inside Vespasian's main. Does he know? Yeah, he knows where the main is. He could throw in a proxy hatchery. It could be pretty cool. But right now, there's 3 Marines out and a few SCVs. PsyRex needs a couple more SCVs to fight this. But actually, the SCVs come a little too far in front of the Marines. And the Lings managed to pick off a lot of the SCVs. So 1 more SCV with just 10 health, 2 Ling hits remaining. He's going to start building the bunker. PsyRex can afford to lose quite a lot of Lings to actually take out this SCV. And he's going to move forward, gets a big surround on a lot of the Marines. And they're going to kite back as best they can. He's going to come back in. He needs to kill up that SCV and gets it. So now this is almost patrol. Oh no, there is 1 more SCV for Vespasian still across the map. That bunker is crucial. If that gets up, then PsyRex suddenly comes in a much worse position. As it is though, there's a couple Queens out. The Lings are cleaning up all the Marines. Every single Marine goes down. 1 more is going to come to reinforce, but there's no way he can deal with all of these Lings now. And PsyRex, I kind of like to see him build a hatchery on the ramp just to block Vespasian from walling in, because when PsyRex actually finally does push this back fully, he can 100% just move across the map. If he had a hatchery near the ramp to stop Vespasian walling off fully, it would be game 100%. But I guess he's focusing too much on holding. He's focusing on holding, which is, if he has to make the decision, 100% the right one to make. And yeah, it's a little too late now. The drone's been spotted, and I mean, yes, he does get it. Doesn't get it out either, but it's okay. It's good. And now Vespasian's going to try and move his units back across the map. And I kind of expect him to lift his barracks and move them over. But either way, PsyRex can still go for a big bust, potentially. Or just focus down the barracks. Yeah, he cancelled the Marine and lifts that. And yeah, I don't know. It's looking pretty rosy for PsyRex. 21 drones to 11 SCVs. He's got his natural. His opponent has gone, he's gone 3 racks and a factory before his CC. There's a supply drop being used. Things are not looking so great for Vespasian, especially given that, I mean, if he had 3 racks and a factory, I would be super worried for PsyRex about some kind of big all-in happening. But what's actually there's effectively 1 rack and a factory, because 2 of these racks are just floating through the map, trying to find, get back home, get to safety. And I know it's going to be difficult. Vespasian does manage to pick up an Overlord here, although he might lose his Marines for it. These Lings are going to close with them pretty nicely, get some good surrounds, and clean up all these Marines. But the Overlord did supply block PsyRex, so that's a pretty nice hit. Pretty nice pick off for Vespasian still. Although every Marine really hurts at this stage. I'd like to see PsyRex throw down some gas. He doesn't really, I don't think, need to be worrying too much about any all-in coming for a little while yet. Looks like Vespasian is just trying to turtle up. If PsyRex had thrown it's always the difficult thing, because if it managed to throw down gas and have his speed up or some banelings up at this stage, the game would be pretty much over in completely in PsyRex's favor. But as it is, he focused on holding. He held and did so really well. But now, I mean, he doesn't really have any way of threatening Vespasian and closing out the game. So, I guess Vespasian sort of stabilizes out now. He's still pretty behind. Although PsyRex, with how much he's committing to spines, is not completely throwing away his lead, but he's certainly diminishing it. I like the third base, though. He could have thrown it down a little sooner, even. And yeah, actually looks like Vespasian is going to try a Hellbat push as a follow-up. 3 Rex Hellbat. So I guess these spines for PsyRex are going to pay dividends, especially if he can move them up to the ramp outside his third. Third is, as I said before, really easy to hold on this map because there's this ramp coming up it. It's a bit of a choke. All 3 bases are on the high ground. You can hold your third at the same time as your natural. And how many spines actually are there? There's 8 spines. So it's going to take a lot of Hellbats to break 8 spines, especially when they got the road support. And oh my god, double armoring? Okay. Is he going to try and play it a macro game? He doesn't have a CC though. What's the double armory for, Vespasian? What is it for? You're an interesting fellow. You've piqued my interest, sir. So, we've got double armory coming up, and also PsyRex just building some safety spine crawlers, spore crawlers even. It looks like he's actually decided not to go for third. He had the drone in position. I kind of would have liked him still to go for third, even though he knows there's no natural from Vespasian, because the natural could be coming down inside the main. It could be just hidden somewhere. There could in fact be a hidden base for Vespasian, but PsyRex is just trying to defend on his 2 bases. If he can do this pretty much equally as well on 3 bases, with an Overlord over the rocks, a couple Swine Crawlers over the rocks to defend as well. And I don't know. Right now though, I mean, Vespasian's going to move in. There's going to be 4 Hellbats when he, maybe like 6 when he gets there, and I don't know, a bunch of Marines, and none of those are things that do very well against Spine Crawlers. Oh my god, more and more Spine Crawlers coming down as well. There's currently 12, 5 more about to finish, and a bunch of Roaches too. So now Vespasian morphs up his Hellbats, 6 Hellbats, and how many Marines? Like 18 Marines versus this many Spine Crawlers. There's nothing happening here. Absolutely nothing. And Vespasian moves towards, sees some of the spines, and just backs right on back out again. In fact, a lot of SCVs got pulled with this attack, so big lost mining time here for Vespasian, as if he wasn't already economically behind enough. And yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. So 1 spine per SCV. And yeah, it pretty much is right now. More Hellbats being morphed in, but Vespasian is going to take a long time to get any kind of army that threatens these spine crawlers, especially since more and more of them are being built and finishing up. PsyRex also has the benefit of that, those 2 bases for producing roaches off, and he's going to have a lot of roaches. Pretty shortly, he's going to start to outproduce Vespasian and be able to move out and take big surrounds and get all his roaches on top of stuff. The Banshee comes in, so good choice to get those spore crawlers, especially the safety ones sort of behind the spine wall. And it looks like PsyRex is going to take his chance. He's going to move out with his roaches. One of them moves towards, sees there is a Banshee there. I think he's going to move back home. He could morph up an Overseer, but a couple Queens because he needs the anti-air and some Overseers. And actually, I think that's in range. That's in range. Oh, I mean, it doesn't have cloak anyway. So, yeah, the Banshee's going to get forced away by these Queens. But there are the SCVs there to repair it up. I'd kind of like to see PsyRex be a little bit more decisive. He's playing a little cautiously here, I think. Whereas Vespasian is very much the decisive player. He's going, yes, this is what I'm doing in this game. PsyRex is trying a little too hard to play reactively and reacting a little too hard as well, I think. So, oh, it's the Borrow Roach. I don't know if I like this with Hellbats, though. Hellbats do a lot of splash damage. He barn burrows, though. Gets a big thing on all these units. I think he's just got so many roaches, it doesn't even matter about the extra splash damage he takes from the Hellbats. And all the roaches in the middle get fried by the Hellbats, but there's tons more where they came from. Completely clean up there, Vespasian. GG is called. to game number 4, is it now? 3? 1, 2, 3. 3. Game number 3 between these two players. The first one, spawning up in the top right-hand corner, is our Purple Zerg going for who first? Ho, 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 ho. It is...
All inspiration, PsyRex.
And his opponent, bringing out the cheese in the last game. Will he do it again? So far, not as hard. It is Orange Terran player.
Chobo Team 6, Vespasian.
Yeah, should be a pretty cool game. The PsyRex just going for the pull first, I think, just for safety rather than anything else. Because he's not building a bunch of things. He hasn't got gas yet for really fast speed. So, yeah, I think it's just a kind of safety pull. And 4 lings are going to come out. That's enough to, pretty well easy enough to chase down a Reaper. Definitely enough to chase down the SCV. Although, I don't know if they're going to kill it. No, they will kill it. But it depends how far they chase. Oh, the SCV stops. That kind of helps. But yeah, right now, Reaper's already got 1 drone killed, but the scouting drones doesn't really matter. And it looks like actually Vespasian is just stopping at the 1 Reaper, throwing down a few racks, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. This could mean aggression, or it could mean strong defense. I feel like without a CC being thrown into the mix, and with the factory as well, this definitely leans towards aggression, especially when you add in what we know about Vespasian, which is he goes into the game with a plan, with a build that he's going to do, that his opponent will have to react to, scout and react to, and this kind of smells like that to me. So the Reaper's going to come around and scout what's going on in PsyRex's base, but there's not really that much of import to see. A few lings actually do force some SCVs to be pulled and repair, and even get quite a bit of damage down on this reactor. Oh my god, no, repair the reactor! That's what's being killed! The reactor goes down and missed repair by Vespasian, and there's 4 lings in the base. Already 2 SCV kills, and these lings are paid. These lings are more than paid for themselves, killing a reactor and 2 SCVs. They're going to attack out this Marine as well. None of them even go down, then they can just be annoying in the main mineral line. Kill off another Marine. That SCV goes down really quickly. So yeah, a bunch of Marines going down here, and yeah, fantastic damage here by PsyRex. It is going to get cleaned up, but those 4 lings killing 3 SCVs, no, 2 SCVs and 3 Marines, and a reactor is incredible damage. So, good start there by PsyRex. And yeah, that definitely puts a bit of a damper on Vespasian's plan. Not as well as that, of course. They get a full scout off. They see there's no CC, they see there's 3 racks, and they see there's a factory. And that's possibly even more important than the all the damage they did. But when you sort of combine the two and you see, okay, so my opponent's going for some kind of really aggressive play, and I've done some damage to him, that's almost when the damage matters most, because Vespasian will be looking with his aggression, with whatever it is he's going to be doing. Looks like something, I would have thought Hellbats, but there's no armory. He could always add on later. But with whatever Vespasian's doing, he's thinking, right, so I have this time I'm going to move out, I'm going to have this many units, I might bring this many SCVs, and every couple of SCVs that die, especially early on, that's a few more Marines you won't have. 40 minerals a minute is nearly a Marine a minute. So those 3 SCVs that got killed are like 2.5 Marines every minute that Vespasian won't have. And PsyRex, he's a man that is not afraid to commit to static defense, and he is going to do. It still leaves a little bit of a hole here, so his queens can get out, the Hellions can get in. But even the Hellions do try to run past. There's so many spine claws. Vespasian just cannot break this. Once more, he has to back off. There's no way he can push in there. A siege tank is an excellent choice because it can start sieging up the spine crawlers, hitting them from a long way away, and it's the Great Wall of Spiner. And PsyRex is gonna move up. He can step spine forwards. He can even move a couple up to the high ground. Where are these going? Just for drop defense. Nice. I can dig it. Because, yeah, I mean, just this first wave of spines is more than enough. And a few lings moving out as well for PsyRex are going to sort of find out what's going on. Still no ling speed, again. And PsyRex, I think, has just gotten his gas or something, because he's got 0 gas and he's got a Vespasian geyser. Yeah, so he's taken his gas but never actually started mining it. So it'd be nice to see him put some units in there and start actually getting some of the second resource. But it's cool. It's cool. Anyway, Vespasian, still nothing he can really do against these spine crawlers. Especially not a few spore crawlers finishing up. But now that there's a siege tank with his army, he could try and push forward. I like the decision to take the gold as well. PsyRex is watching for an expansion on the natural. His overlord is moving in right now, actually. And Vespasian, the gold will provide a really big boost in income for him, or a faster boost in income. And yeah, now his siege tank is sieging up. It's about to kill a spine crawler, or building spine crawler, and yeah, it's looking okay for him. It's just gradually, the gradual damage forces PsyRex to find an answer. And right now he doesn't have one. The Roach Warren, when it finishes, will help provide one. But until then, slow lings are just not going to touch this army. The Hellions, the fact that there's 2 siege tanks as well, it's going to be horrendous damage. A few queens are going to try and transfuse up the spine crawlers, but with 2 tanks, you need a lot of queens to maintain transfuse versus 2 tanks worth of DPS. Another one bites the dust, and static defense is falling and falling and falling for PsyRex, and he still doesn't have an answer to these tanks. Bunch of lings coming out, but again, without speed, they can't close with the tanks quickly enough to not take horrendous damage. They can't even match pace with the Hellions. Lings either way are not great against Marine Marauder. Although, I mean, they're a lot better when they don't have medevacs. So I guess it could go away. But still, I feel like those slow lings, and now that 12 roaches are starting up and finishing, it's a lot better. But he's already lost most of his spine wall to the fire of these tanks. Just the slow push coming out of Vespasian. And now Vespasian has taken his the gold base as well. Quite a few workers mining on it. We've got 8 at the minute. Just like 4 more will be perfect saturation for gold base. And yeah, it's not 4 more. It's like, I can't remember. But now PsyRex moves forward, soaks a lot of tank fire with the lings, and he's broken down 2 of the tanks. Can he break down the 3rd? If he can, I don't think the Bio army is going to have much trouble dealing with the Roach Force, and it absolutely doesn't. Pummels through that. A lot of the spine crawlers, there's still 4 of them left over, and they're holding as best they can. No transfusions from the queens is going to hurt a bit, but it doesn't even matter. Vespasian has enough to punch through. Another tank comes in. He crushes that spine wall, and the Great Wall has been broken. The natural has been broken. Vespasian is looking so strong. He's taking control of that position. PsyRex is having to build more spines up in his main. They're now on much close to equal work counts. Vespasian has the gold as well, so that will give him a massive income advantage. And yeah, he's looking pretty fine and dandy, killing off roaches before they even hatch in natural. And yeah, down they go. These spine crawlers that are trying to finish at the top of the ramp just get one shot by the tank. But PsyRex, with the loss of his natural, sacking of his natural, might have bought enough time to hold up the main with the overlords, with all the spine crawlers. And finding this overlord field is a big blow. If he can kill a lot of them, it'll spike out PsyRex enormously for pretty much the rest of the game. But it looks like he's not going to go after them. Going to try and go up the ramp first and see what's there. And what's there is, of course, spine crawlers. Why wouldn't it be? So yeah, now the tanks siege up. PsyRex tries to move forward to pick them off, but there's too much bio, too much DPS as well with the combined fire of the tanks. And I think Vespasian, again, he needs to get his slow push up. Don't be too hasty. Don't trade with the spine crawlers. They're stronger than you. Get a bunch of tanks out. I guess he's got a big enough army that he can come in and push some things. But GG. could be the final game of the night. And our player, hoping that it is spawning up in the top left-hand corner, spawning in the orange, and once again spawning in Terran. Give it up for
Chobo Team 6, Vespasian.
And down the bottom right-hand corner is the purple Zerg, sending some ling across the map. Here's
All Inspiration, PsyRex.
And yeah, Vespasian actually hasn't chosen to go for a Reaper this time, but he is going to have his Wall-in off, so these links shouldn't be able to do much. They're going to be able to deny any kind of expansion should Vespasian choose to get it, but I've heard whispered rumors that Vespasian is not the biggest fan of natural bases, so I don't know how much these links are actually going to be able to do, how much they'll accomplish, but they can certainly sort of threaten Vespasian a bit, and they will give PsyRex the map vision he needs, the ability he needs to find out what's happening. Also, if he can park an Overlord in the right position, he will be able to find out when the depots are being lowered to allow units in or out, and just pop up there. A couple Marines there also chasing away that Overlord. Really well timed, getting there right as the Overlord sort of drifts in, but it drifts right back out again because Overlords are just too fast nowadays. I remember before Overlords got speed buffs. The good old days. Perhaps Zergs. Anyway, Vespasian is actually straight going for a 1-1-1 so far. And I think it's going to be for Widowmine drops, given that we see Widowmines and dropships, medevacs. So, yeah, that's most likely the case there. A few Marines as well, of course, complement quite nicely, because if you can bring them along, why not? On the other hand, this would leave Vespasian's base almost completely undefended. If PsyRex decides to try and push up it, when he finds out that Vespasian is going for a really, really early drop that can do a lot of damage. And I don't know, Widowmine drops are interesting because they have the potential to do horrendous game-ending damage, but they don't always. They're a little bit hit and miss is, I think, the best word. You're not always going to get a lot of damage done with them. You can obviously end the game with a big Widowmine hit on a bunch of probes or drones or cluster drone extractor, but it looks like actually PsyRex is going to be 100% prepared. He's getting his spore crawlers, his lings are coming back across the map, and they're going to arrive just about the same time as the medevac. Spore crawlers serve the dual purpose of pushing the medevac away and providing detection for the Widowmines. Of course, they don't do anything against the Marines, which could be a problem. Widowmines burrow, but one of them goes off on the Queen and does manage to take that out. And actually, I think there's the Lings coming in piece by piece are not going to be able to take out the medevacs. And another Widowmine hit takes out a drone, and two drones actually. But I mean, as I said, now the spine claw is finished, and both the Widowmines are going to get taken out. And there's only 3 Marines left, so I don't think I think Vespasian wanted to get a little bit more done with this. The Marines going to come back in again. They actually, I think, can take these Lings, and they do, pushing PsyRex away. But no, actually, now there's 3 Marines out there, and PsyRex doesn't actually have any units. The Queen's going to try and come back up, but I'm not sure how well it does against the Marines with a medevac healing them. I'm not even sure if it can out DPS it, and I don't think it can. You need some drones coming off the line, because you're not going to kill that. It does manage to get an inject off before it dies, but again, these Queens, they're not going to do anything while the medevac still has energy, and the medevac has more than enough energy to actually keep these healing for a long time. The Queen's coming in one by one. These 3 Marines are going to kill them infinitely, and so much damage has been done with this. Actually, it didn't start off that bad for PsyRex, but now a load of Queens have gone down. And this has really softened up PsyRex for Vespasian's big push, which we see moving across the map now. There's SCVs, there's tanks, there's Marines, there's Banshees, and PsyRex, he's only got his spore crawlers in the mineral line. The Banshees can start going to work in spine crawlers. Tanks, when they arrive, had 2. And one Spine Crawler already down to the power of these Banshees. Some Spore Crawlers are being started, but it's a little bit too late for that. Tanks seizing up as well. And again, Vespasian can just begin this patient push into the natural, which is going to be really, really difficult for PsyRex to hold. A lot of these Spore Crawlers are going to finish up though, so he needs to kind of get out of there with Banshees, and he does. A couple of shots they do take, but nothing too horrible. And he finally finishes off that last Spine Crawler, which means that Vespasian can start moving forwards and taking out these Spore Crawlers, letting the Banshee get in the fight, or just taking out everything else and winning the game. We'll have to find out. He's going to focus down the Spore Crawlers once his Banshee's in here, but he's working away at the natural as well. And Queen's desperately trying to make his way out here. The Lings move in. Really well timed with the tanks, but one of the tanks does go down. Focus fires that, so that takes a little of the backman out of this push. But I mean, PsyRex sacrificed his natural, and he sacrificed his quite a few of those Lings to try and get rid of some of the big threat there, which was the tank. There's still absolutely no answer to these 3 Banshees. There's, I think, 1 Queen out, 3 Queens actually. Still, I feel like 3 Banshees is pretty good against 3 Queens. I mean, it definitely is when they're supported by all these Marines and tanks. And yeah, now Vespasian moves up. He's broken his opponent's natural, and these Spine Crawlers are never going to complete. Vespasian moves up here. We could have our semi-finalists. Yeah, GG. There it is, and Vespasian will advance onto the semi-finals. Congratulations to PsyRex. And his Marines are happy. They are dancing. Vespasian's happy too, because he is